Hi everyone, it's Krista and welcome to my channel. If you're new here, welcome, and if you're not new, hello again. So today I'm bringing to you a huge, mega, patriotic 4th of July DIYs. So my videos are going to be kind of out of order. So I do DIYs in a budget, Dollar Tree DIYs, thrift flips, farmhouse and rustic, wreaths, and seasonal decor. So if you like what you see here, hit that red subscribe button. Also leave me a comment. Give me a thumbs up, that helps my channel. You can also follow me over on Instagram, Pinterest, and TikTok and Facebook. But like I said, this is a huge video, so let's get started. This DIY, I'm gonna use some Mod Podge, some ribbon from the Dollar Tree, some of these bandanas from the Dollar Tree, and then this piece of wood plaque here from the Dollar Tree as well. So the first thing I did is I opened up my bandana, and what I did is I cut with my rotary cutter a strip on each side because there was a blue section in the middle, and I wanted to make the bottom portion of this with just the red. So what I did is I just used my rotary cutter and I just kind of cut off strips that can kind of be put together, and you wouldn't notice that they were separate. Now, usually you could buy red bandanas at the Dollar Tree, but mine didn't just have red, just the plain red. So that's what I used. So next, I took this star part of a star bandana and I just flipped it over, and I'm going to cut out the middle portion where the star is. And I'm using my little X-Acto knife to do that. And I just went really, really carefully around to make sure that I didn't rip the material. And then that's going to go on top. So next, I'm going to put my strips down just to kind of see where I want them to be, how I want them to go on my board. And then next, I'm going to grab my Mod Podge, and I'm just going to smooth it out with my little sponge brush and make it all nice and ready to put my fabric down. Now, this kept coming up, I will tell you, so make sure you put a lot of Mod Podge down because for some reason these did not want to stick. I don't know why. The bandanas did this, but they did. So just use a lot of Mod Podge, and then I also put Mod Podge on the top as well and smooth that out too. This way I made sure it was going to stay stuck down and it wasn't going to move. Then after I did that, then what I did is I smoothed it out, and then I'm going to do the same thing with the star. So the star bandana then I put on the top, and then I have the red one on the bottom. And I did the same thing to make it stick. I really smoothed it out very well. Now this one stuck down a little bit better than the red did. I don't know why, but it did. So then I just took my brush and I just went around the top of it as well, just to make sure that it would stay. Now I'm going to use strips of that ribbon from the Dollar Tree. This is that lace ribbon that you could get. I love this ribbon, and it's really rustic, and that's what I was going for here. So I'm going to put those down in between and kind of make like the red, white, and blue type of deal for the flag. So that's why I'm putting down the strips of ribbon. And then I'm going to hot glue those down. So this was really, really a simple craft to do. It was so easy and it came out so cute. I absolutely love the rustic look to it. I love rustic patriotic decor. So I'm having so much fun making this stuff. And what the good part is that this isn't just for Memorial Day. You could use it on Labor Day. You could put it up for 4th of July. So, or you could keep it up all year around in the summertime if you want. I mean, really. So you can keep this stuff up all the time, you guys. So next I came in with my scissors and I just trimmed off the excess ribbon on the bottom. And now I'm going to put a strip of that ribbon going across the top as well to kind of like divide the stripes and the stars. So that's what I did there. And then once I got that all glued down, then I just cut off the excess, and I just made sure on the ends that it was glued down so that my ribbon doesn't start to pull up or anything like that. But to make this even look more rustic, you'll see in a minute, I'm going to come in with some of my antique wax by Waverly, and I'm just going to do a dry brushing along the edges of the board and along the edges of the ribbon as well. So I just wanted this to be really rustic and, you know, see, I'm trying to show you because you can't really see on the red, but I went with a really good coat on the sides, on the edges of the board. And then once I did that, then I went with a really dry brush over the top of the ribbon and the top of the bandanas as well. So I just did that all the way around. And you could do as much as you want, or you don't have to, you could skip this part altogether if you want. It's just what I like, so that's why I did it. And I did go around the top portion as well where the stars were. And like I said, this turned out super cute. I absolutely love it. And then I went over the top of the ribbon as well, just to give it a little bit more of an antique look to it as well. And once that was done, I just came in and I poked holes on the top of my board again where the fabric was with my little, I have this little hole puncher, I guess you could call it. And I used that to make the holes on the top. And then I just strung through my jute twine. And that was it for this DIY, you guys. This was super simple, but so cute. You guys gotta let me know what you think down below in the comments. I'm gonna take this star that's cut out, laser cut, and then that little United We Stand sign that I think I got at Joann's last year, and then one of those round wood signs from the Dollar Tree, some scrapbook paper, and then these paints and some ribbon. And then I'm also going to use some of these beads that you could get at the Dollar Tree. I'm going to take that one apart, which you'll see in a minute. But first, I'm going to take my round and I'm just going to trace it out on my scrapbook paper, and then I'm going to cut that out, grab my Mod Podge, and I'm just going to Mod Podge that onto my wood round from the Dollar Tree. And if you can't find these wood rounds at the Dollar Tree, you can always get them at Hobby Lobby. They come in a big pack and they're a little bit more sturdy too. So, but for this one, I used these ones because I had them, so it worked out perfect. And then once I smoothed it out, what I did is I went in with my sander and I just sanded off all the excess. And you always want to make sure you go away from you, not towards you, otherwise you're going to rip your paper. So that's what I did there. And then this is my little puncher, and I just punctured the holes in there so I could put my jute twine back in there for my hanger. Next, I went in and with some white Waverly chalk paint, and I painted this star with the white Waverly chalk paint. And I really like these stars that they have this year. Then, of course, you know me, I gotta go rustic. So I'm doing like the farmhouse rustic look, and I'm going around the edges with the Waverly Waverly Antique Wax. And then I do a dry brush over the top as well, just to give it a little bit of a rustic look. Then once I get that all brushed on, I am going to do this little United States of America little laser cut that I had of wood, and I'm going to do, I taped it off on the top and the bottom, and what I did is I did the middle portion in white, and then the top portion I'm going to do in the red, and then the bottom I'm going to do in the blue. So just to give it a little different look to it, because that I'm going to be gluing to the top part of the star. We're going to put this all together in a minute. So I used the Crimson by Waverly for the red, and for the blue I just used Ocean Blue by Waverly. And then I went around the edges again with the antique wax, and I also dry brushed the top of this piece as well with the antique wax. And now I'm going to take some of my super glue, wood glue that you can get at the Dollar Tree, and I'm just brushing it on to the laser cut star. And now I'm going to use some hot glue as well. So I used a combination of both because I want to make sure this is going to stay together. And then I glued that to the center of my wood round. Then once I got that nice and stuck down, I did the same thing with the little United We Stand wood piece. I'd use the super wood glue and the hot glue, and I did that in the center of the star. Next, I'm going to take some of these wood beads because I don't have to paint them because they're already painted. So I made sure I bought a bunch of these garlands at the Dollar Tree because there's so much you could do with these besides use them as just, you know, beaded garland. So what I did is I used the same jute twine that went in the actual piece of wood. I'm going to use that, and I'm just stringing on all of my pieces. I'm using the red, white, and blue, of course, beads, and I'm just beading them through the jute twine. And then once I get the amount that I want, I'm going to stick it back through the little holes, and it just stays right on there because they put that little plastic piece on the end of them, and it holds it right in place. I love that. Next, I'm going to make one of these rag bows, I call them. I'm just using some strips of fabric, and I'm just looping them back and forth in my Bodabra, and I just keep going back and forth, and I just use whatever fabric that I had that matched what I was making. So I use some lace, I use some red, white, and blue ribbon, I use some black and like antique colored ribbon. I just used any ribbon I had from the Dollar Tree mostly. Some was from Hobby Lobby that I got in the clearance section. You just use your imagination, and all you do is loop it back and forth. And then once you get it to the thickness that you want your bow to be, you just take it out and you're going to zip tie it all together. So, and when you pull your string, when you pull your strands of fabric, when you rip it, you're just going to cut a little piece and then just rip it right off. And the lace, of course, you just cut, out of your roll of ribbon. And then you're just going to pull it up, like I said. And you just make sure you pull all the little strings off so it doesn't look, bad with all the string hanging all over the place. And then I took my zip tie and I just zip tied it in the center. Real tight, cut the excess off. And now I'm just going to fluff it up a little bit. And now I'm just going to cut down on my pieces that I made that were a little long and that were extra. And I just cut those right off. And that is it for that. And then I'm going to glue that down to the center at the top. And then I'm going to take my little laser cut star that you could get these at the Dollar Tree as well. I put that in the center of my bow. And that is it for this DIY. You guys got to let me know what you think of this one. I think it turned out super cute. I absolutely love these little palette sign from the Dollar Tree. One of these stars, wooden stars with the galvanized on the back of it. Some stickers and some more ribbon and some raffia. And also that stencil you see there from the Dollar Tree. And some more paints. So the first thing I did is I took the navy blue paint and it's just acrylic paint, navy blue. And I did the center part of the star, the wood part, in that color. And then I went in with my palette and sign, and I'm just going to do, this is a red barn color, it's called. And then I did, red, white, and blue. Red, white, So I did red and then white and then red and then white on the palette sign. Then I'm going to take the star stencil that you get at Dollar Tree, and I'm going to use that, and I'm going to use my little sponge dabber, and I'm just going to sponge dab some of these stars on through the stencil. And you want to have, the less paint you have on, the better it is when you do this type of sponge painting with these stencils, so it doesn't move around. Then I went around the edges, of course, with the antique wax again, and I made it, look rustic and aged. So I went in between each of the slats as well and all around the edges. And I did the same thing on the star. I went around the blue portion of the star, and I also dry brushed along the top of the palette like you see me doing here. And then I also did the same thing to the star as well. And I just went around the edges, and then I went along the top of it as well, just to give it that antique rustic look. And then once I got that all done and it was all dry, I took some of this gel glue that you get at the Dollar Tree. It's a super glue. And also I'm going to use my hot glue, and then I'm going to glue that down to the center of my palette. And I used a combination of both because a lot of times, sometimes the hot glue doesn't work and it doesn't stick very well. So that's why I did the super glue. I did both just to make sure this was going to stay down and it wasn't going to come off. And then next, I'm going to take those strips of ribbon that I had. This is just some Patriotic ribbon that I had and some lace. And I'm just sticking it in my Bandana just to hold it for me. I just find it's easier for me to do it this way for myself, but you can just lay them down if you want to. I just like to do it this way. It's just a lot easier for me. And then I took some of the raffia. I had the natural color raffia, and then I also had some red raffia from leftover from Christmas and from the Dollar Tree, and I just pretty much bunched it up and then stuck it down in my Bandana to hold it down. And then I took everything out, and then I took my little zip tie and I zip tied it all together. And I did make my bows my ribbon a little too long. So of course, I always do that. I always make it extra long just in case, but yeah. And then I just trimmed off the excess just so that it was even on both sides and it looked good on the top. And then I also trimmed some of the raffia as well. And then I just used some hot glue and I glued that to the top. And then I'm going to use this little navy blue button that I had in my stash, and I'm going to stick that right in the center of my sign. And there it is, a little palette sign. Isn't it cute? Then I'm going to use some of these stickers that I had. You can get these stickers at Dollar Tree. Everywhere you go, there's stickers, letter stickers, so you can find them anywhere. And I'm just going to put USA with the little puffy stickers. I also glued them down as well with the hot glue because they weren't just going to stay stuck with the stickiness that they had. So I just stuck them down with some hot glue just to make sure they were going to stay put. And then that was it for this DIY. Let me know what you guys think of that one. I think it came out super cute. I love the way all these turned out. So now DIY number 4, these chalkboard houses from the Dollar Tree, some antique wax by Waverly, one of these stencils that I had, and some chalk paste, and some of these wooden stars that I had in my stash. First, I'm going to just paint on, I'm using a paintbrush to put on my Waverly wax because I didn't want to get all over my chalkboard. And then I come in after I did it a couple times and I wiped it with I wiped the excess off with a dry paper towel. Then I'm coming in with some white chalk paint and I'm going to go along the edges of the whole house. So I'm going to do the edges of the outside, also the inside edge, because I just kind of want it to look rustic, of course, because that's the theme I'm going for here, is a patriotic rustic look. And these wooden houses are so cute, chalkboard houses. I love them. And you could do so many things with these. And then, like I said, I went along the edges of the inside too with a really dry brush. And I was very careful not to get it on the chalkboard. But if I did, I just used a baby wipe and it came right off. And then I did the stars. I did 2 of the stars in white, 1 blue, and 1 in red with those same paints that I've been using throughout this whole video. And the navy blue, and then this is the barn red. And then once I got those painted, of course, I went along the sides of them with the antique wax to make them look a little aged. And then I dry brushed the top of them as well. Now I'm going to use my little stencil. This stencil I got from Chalkboard. I'm a Chalkboard designer. And okay, this is where I made a big mistake. So I was going to do red, white, and then blue with the wording on the stencil, but my red chalk paste was very dry and it worked, but it didn't work very well. And then the blue was fine, but you couldn't see it on the black chalkboard. So this is a mistake that I made and I fixed it. So what I did is I just, see, now you could see it on camera, but when I was looking at it, you couldn't. So all I did was take a baby wipe and I wiped the whole thing off. Really easy to do when you use chalk paste. I just wiped it off, got it all clean, and then I washed my stencil, put it back down, and then went through with the white chalk paint. So there you go. Learn from me, guys. And I think it looks much better. So then I took the part of the beads that we used in the other one, the other DIY. I used a little piece of it with the beads on it. And then I used the little star and I kept it all attached. And I glued it on the top of the house. And then I kind of hanged it dangle a little bit. And I thought that was really cute. And then I took the rest of the stars and I just put them where I wanted to put them. And I just glued them down to the front of the house. But yeah, My Chalkboard, if you guys are interested in any of their stencils, it's listed down below in my description box. So if you want to check them out, you can check them out. But if not, you can always use stickers. So the first DIY, I'm going to take this pick that I've had for a while, this leftover stars from a sign from the Dollar Tree, this star from the Dollar Tree wood star, and that America wood piece, and also some scrapbook paper, and then that is the tile, that stick tile that you could get at the Dollar Tree. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to trace out the star on that tile, and it's got like a plastic piece underneath, and it just comes right off when you cut it because the stickiness is under that, which we don't need because we're going to glue it down to the front of our star once I cut it out. So I'm going to glue that down. And these tile pieces are great for all kinds of DIYs. I have them from Christmas. I did one, Easter. They're just great. So next I'm going in with the Plaster Paint by Waverly. It's a chalk paint, and I am just going to paint the whole thing with that color. Then I'm going to come in with my antique wax, and I'm going to do like a dry brush. First, I go around the edges to make them a little bit darker. I'm going for an antique rustic look. I love farmhouse rustic look. So that is kind of what I'm going for with these Patriotic DIYs. So I'm going around the edges like you see me doing here. And then I'm going to dry brush on the top. And what that's going to do is it's going to bring out all that beautiful tile that you see there. And it's going to make it look rustic. And that's what I love. So there's that. Then I'm going to take the stars. I took them off of that sign that they were on. And I'm just going to trace one out on one of the scrapbooks and paper. And then the other one on the other one. One is stars and the other one is the red and white stripes. And then I'm just going to cut them out. And then I'm Mod Podging them on to each piece. And I also made sure that I got all of that glitter off. Otherwise, they're not going to stick very well. So I just sanded the glitter right off of those. And then I stuck those on. Then once I got them on, I used my iron, my little mini iron, and some parchment paper. And if you use this and use this technique, this helps, it gets rid of the bubbles or wrinkles when you are Mod Podging. Then once it was all dry and everything, I just took my little sander and I'm going to sand off the excess paper on the sides. And once I sand them off, I'm going to take some more Mod Podge and my sponge, and I'm just going to go over the top of them as well because I don't want that paper to curl up or anything or come off. Next, you know what I'm going to do. I'm going to go in with the antique wax, and I'm going to do the edges with my brush, my stencil brush, and then I'm going to go over the top as well. And I did a really light brush over the top of these because these are pretty much kind of, you know, rustic on their own, but I just wanted to make it a little bit more rustic. And I did the same thing with the striped one as well. Then once I got all over the top of that one with the antique wax, I'm going to use these Jenga blocks, and I am going to, which I already painted, I didn't show you guys that part, and then I'm going to stick them to the back of my big star first, the wooden one first. And then once I get those stuck down, I want to make sure this is going to stand up. And then once I know it's good to go, I'm going to glue down both stars. So I'm going to do the stripes on one side and then the stars on the other. And then I'm going to take that pick that I had left over from, I don't even know how many years, probably 2 years I've had this pick. And it's very rustic, and that's what I love it. And I think I got it at Hobby Lobby. And all I did was take it apart, took off what I wanted, and now I'm just going to glue it to the back of the big star kind of sticking out. And then I just took a piece of ribbon that I had that was Patriotic, and I helped that press it down to keep it nice and stuck on there so it doesn't come off. Now I'm going to take this America sign. This is a wooden sign. They come in a package from Hobby Lobby. I bought these. I've had them for 2 years now. That's how long it lasts, because I think you get 3 of each in a pack. So I'm not counting this in the money because I really didn't spend any money to buy this. So I'm going to put that down because the money I did spend was a long time ago. So, and there you go. There is this cute little sign that you could put up on a shelf or anywhere in your home. So next we're going to take this bandana from the Dollar Tree, this USA wooden piece that I had, this wooden round, that wooden other round that you see that's open, and then some ribbon from the Dollar Tree. So now this ribbon I've had for a while. I know they have it this year as well, but I didn't know it didn't have wire. So I didn't like that. So what I did is I had to figure out a way to use it, right? I don't want it to go to waste. So what I did is I cut a bunch of strips that were 14 inches each, and I used 3 different types of ribbon from the Dollar Tree. And then I went around this wooden hoop that you could get at the Dollar Tree. You get 2 of them. This is the smaller one that I took out of the package. And I'm just tying them in a knot and just going all the way around that whole wooden ring with them. Now, this one ribbon I've had in my stash for a long time. I don't know where I got it, but it is not Dollar Tree. And I stuck that one in there as well because I wanted a dark one in there too to go with the patriotic theme. And I thought the blue, navy blue was perfect. And so I did this all the way around, and I just made sure both of my ends were even when I tied the knot so that I didn't have to cut anything. You know, you just want to make sure everything's nice and even and nice and tight on your ring. And then once I get all those put on, what we're going to do is we're going to start with the little wooden round. Now, that little wooden round, which you'll see in a minute, I got from, oh, there it is all together, guys. Isn't that pretty? Look how pretty that is. So now this wooden round I actually got for $1, which was cheaper than the Dollar Tree, at Walmart. So look for these because they're really nice and they're very thick, and that's what I like. They're durable. So what I did is I just painted the edges with white chalk paint, and now I'm going to go around it with my scrapbook paper. I was going to use the bandana and the stars that was on it, but I figured this was much easier. So I went with the scrapbook paper instead. I'm always changing my mind when I'm crafting, so. And then I put some Mod Podge down, of course, and then we're going to stick that star scrapbook paper on top. And I'm going to use my iron again, which I will not show in this part because I already showed you in the other one. And then once that's done, I go around the edges again, and I'm just using my sander to sand off any excess. And then, of course, I'm going to put some Mod Podge on top to seal that in so it stays nice on there and doesn't come off. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that antique wax again and my little stencil brush, and I'm going to go around the edges of this as well to make it look more rustic. And then I'm going to go along the top as well with just a light, very light, you guys. That's the key when you are dry brushing. Don't have a lot of paint on your paintbrush or stencil brush. And then I'm just going to go over the top of it. Really easy. And then I'm going to take that and I'm going to use that ribbon that I had with the wire on it, and I am going to put a lot of hot glue, and I am going to glue that down to the back of my wooden piece. And I put my little finger protector on because I was burning my finger, so be very careful. And then once I get that all nice and glued down, then I'm going to take it, flip it back over, and I'm going to put that in the center of my ring, and then I am going to make a couple little folds with I made the, it was 14 inches that I cut the ribbon, just so you guys know. And it was perfect to fit because I rolled it up a little bit because I wanted it to fold over on top of that wooden hoop. And then I glued it down like that, because then what we're going to do is we're going to scrunch it back together, and you're never going to know that I glued this piece on there like that. So I glued it down, and now you're going to see me. I'm just going to scrunch it back in. See? So you don't see the space, and it looks like it was just on there. Then I took a couple wooden stars because I wanted something to cover the holes on that USA sign that I'm going to use. So I just painted them with the plaster paint by Waverly, or no, white, sorry. And then I just glued them on to where the holes were on that little USA. Now, I got this USA at Hobby Lobby a long time ago. So I don't know how much they are now, but I know they're 40% off right now, all of that stuff. So it's really cheap anyways. And then I just hot glued it down to the center of my wreath that I'm making. And I think this turned out so cute, so rustic. This will look cute on a front door or even hanging up in your house. So then I went in the back and I took some jute twine that I just tied in a hoop, in a little loop like that. And then I glued it down, and I used, again, some of that scrap ribbon that I had to glue it down in the back just to make sure it was going to stay. And there you go, guys. Really, really simple, under $5 to make. I am going to use this bandana this time and this flag from the Dollar Tree, which is filled with tinsel, which I do not like. So I took that all off, and we're just going to use the frame of this. So I just cut it, and then it just kind of keeps unraveling as you go. So you just kind of keep going back and forth with it, and it just comes right off. So it's really easy to take apart And you know, that paper part came right off where the stars were. So now I'm going to use some of this red, it's a little thick but not real thick, red yarn that I had in my stash. But you can get red yarn at the Dollar Tree now. And I am just going to keep wrapping this around and going to keep going. And then I'm going to take the white and I'm going to do the same thing. Now at the top, I did glue it down to the frame because I don't want that ugly plastic frame showing. So I want to cover that up. So what I'm doing is I'm just using my hot glue gun and I'm gluing it down so that it stays. And then I'm just going to keep tucking it in. Now the top part was hard because you have to keep tucking it in that little space. So I had to cut my ribbon. I keep saying ribbon, sorry guys. But you could do this with ribbon, now that I think about it. You could use ribbon too, guys. But what I did with the yarn is I just had to, you know, pull it through. So I cut mine in like how much I think I needed. And then I just kind of kept going in and out with it. And then when I got to the end, I glued the ribbon down in the back. I just glued it down with some hot glue and that was fine. It stayed. It was not going anywhere. And then once I got that all done, then what I did, see, I'm going to glue it down. I wanted to show you guys the first couple ones that I do so that you understand what I'm doing. And then once you glue it down, and you just want to make sure you pull it tight because you want it to be tight. And this frame does tend to bend because it's plastic, but I realized you can bend it right back. It's so easy. It just goes right back. And then I took the white, which was a little bit thicker yarn that I had, and I'm going to do that. Now this one I didn't have to hoop so many times because it was thicker. So, and it kind of worked out because it gave the flag a little bit more dimension and I liked it. So it turned out really good that I used a thicker and then a thinner one. But you could use whatever you want. And like I said, now that I thought about it, being that I was saying ribbon, you could do this with ribbon too. You just slip it through. And that would be really fun too, to do different ribbons on it. Yeah. So I found this one and I was really lucky to find this because I know that a lot of people are looking for it because they want to change it up and do something different with it. And this was my take on it. So I hope you guys like it. And then once I got it to where I wanted it, I just glued it on the back once again and cut off the excess. Really, really easy. And that yarn goes everywhere, as you can see. It comes apart really easily. So, and there it is, all done. So now I'm going to take the stars that's on this bandana and I'm going to cut it out. I'm going to cut out a piece first, and then I'm going to figure out how I want to put it on there. So what I did is I cut it down even more, and then I took some hot glue, and because it's like all rough on the edges where I cut, what I did is I folded it over and made a little seam. So I just glued it down and made a little seam like you would on a sewing machine, only I'm using hot glue. And then I cut it again, and I did that all the way around except for in two areas, which you'll see in a minute. So 2 spots, the inner part of the stars that's going to be on the inside and the part on the bottom there where the white stripe starts, those are the 2 seams that I made. Then the other ones, I'm sorry, those are my dogs barking at the ambulance. Sorry about that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue this all down. So like you see, I just made the seams for this section and then that bottom section. So I glued that down first. Then the side and the top, I am going to fold over and glue that down. And that's going to pull it nice and tight. And I did glue in the center too, because there are spots in the center that you can glue down. Because I wanted to make sure this was on nice and tightly. So then I just glued it to the top, pulled it nice, and now I'm just going to pull it over. And where the little hoop is where you put your yarn to hold it up or whatever you want to use to hanger, you just cut that little slit and then fold it over on each side. So really simple. And then I just glued it all the way around. And then once that was all glued, I didn't do much more to this because I didn't want to. I thought it was perfect just the way it was. And it did take me a while doing the yarn, so I was happy with it. And once I got this piece glued down, I just went in with some string that I had in my stash that was like a white and red. And I just pulled it through. It was some jute twine that I think I got at Dollar Tree a long time ago. And I just pulled that through, and then I'm just going to tie it in a knot, and that's what I'm going to use as my hanger. And if you didn't want to use this as a hanger, you could stand it up on a shelf against the wall, whatever you want to do. But I think this turned out really cute and I love it. You guys let me know what you think down in the comments. This piece of wood from the Dollar Tree, and I also had these stars that were on one of the other Dollar Tree signs. I'm going to use some of this fabric, bandanas from the Dollar Tree that I had in my stash. And I'm also going to use some of those ribbons that I had in my stash. You can use any ribbon you have, red, white, and blue, whatever goes with the decor that you want to do. But this is what I did. I painted the edges of the sign, of the wood, piece with just navy blue. And then I took and I cut the star out of my bandana again, because I had another one. And I used that, and you get 2 bandanas in a pack at the Dollar Tree too. So it's a lot cheaper when you get 2. So it's really a good deal. And then what I did is I measured it out, and now I put Mod Podge and I pushed it down. And then I'm going to take my fabric, and I'm just going to keep Mod Podging and keep wrapping it all the way around that wood piece. And the reason why I did the ends is because if they're going to show, I want it to be navy blue. So I didn't have to worry about putting this fabric on the ends, because that would be a little bit harder. So this was much easier doing it this way. And then once I got it all Mod Podge down and it dried, which I made sure I dried it because I wanted to make sure the fabric wasn't going to come off, I went in, and with these silver stars that were on one of the plaques from the Dollar Tree, I just took them off, 3 of them, and I'm just going to use my stencil brush, and I'm dabbing them with Elephant Gray by Waverly chalk paint, and then Steel paint by Waverly as well. And I just keep dabbing them. I want them to look rustic and old. I don't want them to look like they're shiny and brand new, because I'm going for that look. So that is how I made these stars. Really, really simple technique. You just keep dabbing till you get it to the right, to the way you like it. Then I took the ribbon that we used before, that blue ribbon with the stars on it, and it's got the wire on it, and all this ribbon that I cut, and all the bandanas that I stripped. I used bandanas, and I just cut a little slit and I ripped them, you guys. And you just rip them down, and then you take the excess, string that's hanging or whatever off. And you just keep gluing these pieces to one piece of the ribbon that is as long as your wood piece. So you want to make sure you measure it as long as your wood piece. And the little ones, the little ribbons, I just glued on top of the bigger ones, and I put the bigger ones behind. And I just kept doing that all the way down on that piece of ribbon. I just kept gluing down the strips of ribbon that I had that matched. And then once I got that all done, I'm showing you some more because I just want you guys to be able to see it and understand what I was doing here. But you can use any ribbon you want. And then I'm just going to take my glue, and I'm just going to pick a big hopping glue on there, and you just want to push it down to that ribbon. And now all your pieces are already glued, so it's perfect the way that I want it. And that was the easiest way for me to get this. And then I made sure that it was glued on the edges down really, really well. And then I took my stars, and I'm sorry about the angle, you guys, but it was hard to get this in full screen. And I glued them on the top like that. And there it is. And then I just stapled on a little bit of jute twine, and there's my little hanger. I think this came out really cute. I love it. And this is definitely going to be hanging up on my wall in my house. Some scrapbook paper again from the Dollar Tree, this star that I had left over. This, that I was using those stars, that's where I got my stars off of that one. And then some more ribbon that I had. And I had these red, white, and blue beads that were in my stash. And then some Mod Podge, of course. So the first thing I'm going to do is I am sanding this tag that has USA on it because it has a ton of glitter and I don't want the glitter. So now on half of the tag on the top, I want the stars, scrapbook paper. And then the other half, I'm going to use this scrapbook paper, which looks like wood, and it's got red, white, and blue, and I absolutely love this paper. I wish they made it in a 12 by 12 instead of the smaller 8 by 11, but they don't. But then I did the Mod Podge, and I'm going to Mod Podge all my pieces down. So I did the bottom one, and now I'm going to do the top one. And you just smooth it out. And of course, I'm going to iron it down again because I don't want any bubbles or wrinkles. So that's what I do every single time I use my Mod Podge because it does work. And then once I get that all smoothed out, I go on and I use my sander again to sand off any excess paper. And you always want to make sure you sand away from you, not towards you, because of course you'll rip the paper if you do. Then I'm going to take that star that I had and I'm going to paint it with my white Waverly chalk paint. And all I did was flip it over on the other side. I didn't need the other side because I'm going to glue it down, so you're not going to see it. And then I used this sand color by Waverly. It's a chalk paint. I wanted to do a lighter rustic look on this piece, so I'm just doing a light outline around the star, and then I'm going to dry brush on top of it as well to show it a little bit. And I went a little heavier in some spots, as you could see. Then I'm going to do the same thing that I did with the other stars that were silver. I did the same exact thing with the elephant gray and silver. And now I'm going to take this beautiful rustic ribbon that I have, and I'm going to glue that across where I put the two ends together of scrapbook paper. That's just kind of covered up, and this gives it a more rustic feel. Then I'm going to use some of this glue that is super wood glue from Dollar Tree, and then also some hot glue. So I used a combination of both. I wanted to make sure the star was going to stick down and stay, and so I used that, and then I glued my little metal piece to the center. Then I'm going to take the beads that I strung on to the old hanger that was on there, and I'm just going to put the hanger back on. And then I'm going to take this bow that I made, which I have these in tons of my other videos. I call them my rag bows. I love making these. It's with scrap fabric and also any ribbon. And then I just put a little cute wooden piece on the top of my bow. So the first DIY, I'm going to take some plaster paint by Waverly, some Barn Red, and also some of these stamps, pads, and these USA stamp. And then also I'm going to use some of this ribbon from the Dollar Tree that's metal, a tag, a button, one of these bandanas that you could get from there as well. I'm going to be using some torn fabric and ribbon, and then this jar that is made of tin or metal from the Dollar Tree, and I am going to paint the top part of that with the plaster paint, and then I'm just going to do a light dry brush over the metal piece, the metal ribbon that I showed you. And then the tag I decided I wanted to do in the Barn Red. So now I needed this to be a little bit smaller, and I didn't have smaller tags, so what I did is I just cut it to make it smaller. And then once I got that all cut, what I'm going to do is I want to make the tag look really old. So I'm just kind of like folding it, moving it around. And now I'm using my little tool here, but you can use scissors if you don't have this. What it does is it just stresses the edges of the paper or cardboard or whatever you're using and gives it a rough look. And now I'm using some of my vintage photo by, it's a distress oxide stamp, and I used my little tool there to distress the edges and make it look really old. And now I'm using the stamp to stamp down USA onto that tag. Next, I'm going to use just this part of the bandana that says Land of the Free, Home of the Brave. And this is what I'm going to use to be put on my little mason jar. So first, it wasn't wide enough, so what I did is I took some truffle paint by Waverly, and I just did the sides where it would be, you know, showing, and I painted the sides of the jar with that. Now what I'm doing is I'm just taking my finger sander, I'm going around the edges, and I'm pulling some of the threads. I want it to look torn on the edges, kind of ripped, old looking. I like the vintage old farmhouse look, so that's what I'm going for here. And then I'm going to use some Mod Podge, and I'm going to spread that out, and then I'm going to take that fabric piece, and I'm just going to place that down. Now this took 2 coats of Mod Podge, and I went over the top of it as well because it kept wanting to slide off, as you could see there. So I had to really mess with this thing to make sure that it was going to stay stuck down, which finally it did, so it wasn't that bad. But I did go over the top of it as well, and that also helped it stay. Then what I did is I took that metal ribbon, and I'm just going to put it on the top part of my mason jar. I just wrapped it around the back, and now I'm just going to glue it down in the back with some hot glue. And I just used a little bit because This metal is really, really good, so it stays pretty well. Then I'm going to take some of that vintage photo stamp pad again, and I'm going to rough it up and make it look really old. And I did it on the edges of the sides of my mason jar as well. Then I'm going to make one of my raggy bows, I call them, and I use my bow dabber to do it. And I'm just using the bow dabber to hold the pieces down for me. And all I have is some ripped fabric, and it's Dollar Tree fabric. Some of it's from Hobby Lobby. And I'm just using the colors that I'm using in my DIY, and I'm just going to keep folding it over. Some of the bandanas I also used, I tore them and ripped those up. And this is just like a really tattered, raggy looking vintage, like, I don't know, rustic bow that I make. And I absolutely love it. So I just went with all the different colors that I was using. And then once I keep flipping these back and forth and looping them, I just keep pushing them down in the bow dabber. And then I usually use a zip tie to tie mine, only because it's easier for me, but you can also use jute twine, whatever you want to tie your bow together. And then it just gives it that really cool rustic look, and I love it. Then I just trim off any extra, pieces that are too long, and I make everything look nice and even, and then I just kind of poof it out a little bit with my hands, and then I glued it down to the corner there. Then I took some of these berries that are, the berries that are patriotic that you could get practically anywhere, and even the Dollar Tree has them. And some of these little flowers from the Dollar Tree that I took off of a pick, and I'm just going to glue those down on the sides of each one of the bow on each side, I meant to say. And then I'm going to do the same thing with the little beads, the little berries, the navy blue ones. And then I'm just going to glue those down on each side as well, and just make sure they're secure. And that just gives it another little touch of something. And I really love the way this turned out. I love the rustic look to it. I love the Americana, rustic, patriotic look, farmhouse. I love it all. And I am just going to glue some of those beads down on that side. And then I'm going to take that tag that I made, and I'm going to glue that in the center of my bow. And then I'm going to take this button that I got from the Dollar Tree. You get a whole bunch of them inside of a little plastic jar, and I stuck that in the middle. And that's it for this DIY, you guys. Let me know. Take some Mod Podge, some chalk paste, one of these chocolate tour stencils that I have, and also this, I love this towel that you get at Hobby Lobby, and right now they're 40% off. And then that other picture frame is from the Dollar Tree. So what I'm going to do is I am going to make my own rustic looking flag on that piece from the Dollar Tree. So what I did first is I cut out some of the towel with these stars, and of course I'm going to make my little rectangle here to put on for my stars, and then we're going to cut out the stripes. Now I love this towel because it's already rustic looking, okay, farmhouse looking. So this was perfect. This was a no-brainer, and this is such an easy craft to do. So what I did is I cut my strips a little bit thinner than what they were on the towel, and then what I did is I roughed them up with my little finger sander on the edges, just to, rip them and tear them and give them that teared look. I wanted it to look that way. So that's what I did with my little sander. And this helps you pull those threads out and just makes it look really, really old, like it's old fabric. I didn't want it to look new. And that's what I was going for. Then you see I have them all laid out real nice on this cute little plaque. And then I'm just going to put down my Mod Podge and smooth it out, and then stick down each strip. And this was really simple, guys. That's basically all that I did. So I just kept going with the red, and then that little white, well, it's not white, but it's an off-white color. And I just kept going down the whole thing. And I'm showing you what I'm doing because I had to use a lot of Mod Podge, because this is a thick material, this towel. So you want to make sure if you get this towel and you try this project that you want to put down a lot of Mod Podge. So that's what I did. And then I also go over the top of it as well. I made sure I stuck a lot in the corners, especially so that my corners don't come up. And I just smoothed it out. And that was it, you guys. Really simple and easy to do. You'll see in a minute, though, I do make it a little bit more rustic, of course, because that's what I love to do. And I added some of that vintage photo that I've been using on all the other projects. And I'm just wiping the excess Mod Podge off as I go, because you can see it's getting on the sides, and I didn't want that to have a big glop of Mod Podge there, so I just made sure I used my baby wipe and I just wiped off the excess so it didn't look silly or, not look right. And I just kept going with it. And then I wanted to show you all of it because I wanted to show you guys how easy this is to do. And I just kept going. And now I'm sticking that one down under. Need the red one. And then that's it. And then I just went in with the navy blue with the stars. And I stuck that down in my corner. And it didn't matter if I got Mod Podge on the other part, because I'm going to go over the whole top of it as well, because I don't want this to lift up, and I want it to last me a long time, because I'm going to have it up in my house, of course. And I love using these sponge brushes because they really spread a lot of the Mod Podge really, really well. So I always use the sponge brushes when I'm spreading out my Mod Podge. Just a little tip for you guys. And then once I get that all down and I get the sides wiped off with all the extra Mod Podge, I made sure it was completely dry. Then I went in, and what I did is I took some of my antique wax and a little piece of wood that I had. It was a square piece and it was perfect for this project. And I just used the antique wax and then wipe off the excess and stain the wood. And then I used my chalk paste and I just went over the top of this, which says established in 1776. And I used that. And I love these stencils, you guys. I am a chalk couture designer, so if you want to check them out, I will have the link in my description box for that as well. And then I went in with the vintage photo and my little stencil brush, and I just went along the edges of each one of the strips and made it look even more vintage and more rustic. And I did that all around the whole thing, all the strips and all around the edges. And this just brought it out even more, just made it look even better. I just love the way this turned out. This towel was perfect for this project. So, and I think the towel was like $4.99, but you get 40% off. So way worth it. And these Dollar Tree plaques are so awesome because you could do so many things with these, you guys. So I really, really love them. And then I went over the whole thing with my dauber as well with the vintage photo. And then I'm just going to glue down that little piece of plaque that I did that says 1776. And that's it for this DIY, you guys. I tried to keep it really simple and it came out so beautiful. I love it. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. Paper on my printer, and it's from a certain I got it on a certain, I forget what they're called. I'll put it in the link. I'll put the link to their thing down below, but I want you guys to try it out. It's super cool. I believe it's like $9.99 a month, but you get a month for free, and you get all these free printables, and they could be for your Cricut. You could print on tissue paper, whatever you want, and they're so cute. I think it's Creative Fantastica or something like that, but I will have it linked down below in my description box. But I printed this out and made my own scrapbook paper, you guys, on my printer, and they have so many cool designs. My next video, you will see a lot of it, so stay tuned for that. But next, I went in with my Mod Podge. I'm using this plaque from the Dollar Tree again. This is one of those photo plaques that they had, that's really cute picture in it, but I'm going to replace it with this that I printed out, like I said, on my printer. And I use the Mod Podge, and I'm just going to lay it down on here. And then to make sure that I don't get no bubbles or wrinkles, I use my heat press with some parchment paper, and that helps it not to bubble or wrinkle. And then I just stuck it back in the frame that I had, and then I just stuck down those little tabs. I didn't put the glass in though. I didn't want the glass in for this because we're going to be putting these on top. So first I got these at Hobby Lobby. You get 3 of them in a pack for $2.99 with 40% off. So really good deal. And I'm using my Antique Wax by Waverly, and I'm just going around with my brush, and I'm painting the Antique Wax on, and then I'm going to wipe it off with a paper towel when I'm done, because these you got to get in between the cracks of all these little arrows that look like firecrackers. And then I'm wiping with just a paper towel to get the excess off. And then once I do that, then I'm going to come in with my paints, and I'm using my Barn Red, and I'm going to do the 2 end ones that you see there in the Barn Red. And then the middle one I'm going to do with the Navy Blue. And then the stars I'm going to do with the Plaster Paint by Waverly. And I just painted those with my little brush. And these came out so rustic looking too. I love the way they turned out. And they look so great. This little picture that I made here looks so pretty. I love it. And I'm going to use my sander, and I'm just going to sand as well so it looks even more old. I just wanted these to bring out more of the wood on it and make it look really rustic. And so I just kind of went in. You could go as heavy or as light, or you could skip this part altogether. I mean, it's whatever, type of thing that you like decor in your house. But this is what I like, so. And this is what I'm using. And then the July 4th, I had in a pack from Hobby Lobby. It comes with America, Happy 4th. It came with all different sayings. Freedom, I believe, was another one. And this is the one I'm using on this. And then I had this pick from last year that I believe I got at Michael's. Or I might have got it at Hobby Lobby. And I'm going to use those stars. And these are really cool because they're made of burlap. I love these stars. And then I'm just going to glue them down and underneath each one of these little firecrackers. And the ones that were loose, after I put the glue down, I just put a little glue on the end and then stuck them right back underneath. But the rest of them, I think I got down pretty good. So I just stuck them underneath, and I just did the red, white, and the blue. And I just kept it really simple. And I love the way this turned out. And then I just glued down my July 4th wooden sign there with my hot glue. And this one was really simple too, you guys. That's it. The picture frame was the perfect color. So that's it, you guys. So I hope you guys like it. Let me know what you think down below in the comments. I am going to be using Plaster Paint by Waverly, also Antique Wax by Waverly, Red Barn, and Navy Blue. One of these little mason jars from Halloween, some solo wood flowers, a wood panel from the Dollar Tree, cardboard box that you see there, piece of a cardboard box, some teared ribbon, and also fabric to make a bow. But first, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this jar from Halloween, and I am just going to use it to trace out another jar onto this cardboard piece of cardboard from a cardboard box. So what I did is I took off the first layer of the cardboard, and inside that layer is this part of the cardboard, which is really, really cool. You can make really cool DIYs with it. So I'm going to use mine and make a jar, but first I'm going to just do a light brushing, a dry brush basically of the navy blue color on the top of the cardboard piece of the jar. And I'm just doing it like very lightly and in certain spots. I don't want to cover the whole thing. Then I'm taking some of this ribbon from Dollar Tree as well. This is that you know, metal ribbon that you could get from the Dollar Tree. Next, these are solo wood flowers. I've had these for a very long time. But what I did is I just took some of that Red Barn paint and I'm just going to go over it with a little dry brush around the lighter areas. And I'm just doing a really light dry brush. I want these to look really old and rustic. And then next, I'm going to take this piece of wood that I got also from Dollar Tree, and I'm going to use the plaster paint by Waverly, and I'm going to paint that. And then I'm going to take the antique wax and my chippy brush, and I'm going to go along the edges of the board, and then I'm also going to do a dry brush along the surface of the board as well. So this is the wood part that I am using for this. Then I'm just going to use my little sander and sand it so it just smooths it all out and everything looks good together. And then I'm going to use these, what do you call them? Oh my goodness. USA stamp, rubber stamps. And I just put USA onto that. And now I want to make this little tag look really old. So I'm just going around the edges and I'm like just trusting. You can use scissors to do this. This is a tool that I've had from scrapbooking. And it just distresses the edges a little bit. But if you use the edge of your scissors, it'll do the same thing. And then what I did is I went along the edges as well with my stamp, my Distress Oxide in the color Vintage Photo. And I went along the top of it as well, just to make the tag look really old and aged and like it's, you know, just been really rough. And then I'm going to take that ribbon that I painted with the plaster paint, and I am just going to glue that around the top part of the cardboard wooden piece. Cardboard. I keep on wanting to say wood. Cardboard piece of my mason jar. And then I'm going to take the Distress Oxide again, and I just made the top part a little bit dirty of that metal ribbon that I used. And then I'm just going to glue that whole piece down to my wood piece. And then I'm going to take those flowers and I'm going to glue those on the top of my mason jar in like a little cluster like so. And I'm just going to use a lot of hot glue so those stay down really nice. Now I also made a rag bow, I call them, but the rag bow, I didn't show how I made it because I do it on every single one of my videos. So this one I kept it out. So if you want to look at another video, you could check my other videos. I do make them on most of my videos. And all I do is use some teared fabric that I rip in strips, and then also some ribbon. And then I took a little button and my tag and I glued that in the center of my bow. And that's it, you guys. Super easy. I love the way this turned out. It's so rustic, farmhouse, patriotic. I just love it so much. Now this DIY, I'm going to take some school glue, just regular glue, the white glue, clear glue. And then I'm going to use one of these that I got from Creative Festisha, I believe it's called, or something like that, or Fantisa, something like that. But I will have the link down below. You can print out a lot of their images. I'm not sponsoring them or anything. I just absolutely love them. I found them through, oh my gosh, through another crafter. I will have her name and her link to her channel down below as well. But what I did first is I painted this with the plaster paint by Waverly. Then I went in with the white glue and I did a coat of that on top of that. And then I go over the top of it again with the plaster paint. Now, I go over it when the glue is still wet. That's what you want, okay? Not the first coat, the second coat. You want that paint to be wet. And then you go in and you dry it with your dryer, or you would let it air dry. And what it does is it's going to crack it and make it look like it's really old and all cracked, like the wood is cracked. So it's really, really cool look. And it's that simple. Then this image I printed out on tissue paper that I taped onto a regular copy paper in my printer, and then I went on that website that I just told you about and I printed this cow out, and it's really, really super cute. I love this cow. She actually used it in her video as well. I believe it was more Decal or something like that, but I forgot her name and I watch her all the time, but I will definitely have her link in my description box. So definitely go check her out because I love watching her. And then what I did is I put down some of the Mod Podge first. I dried the Mod Podge, and then I put my tissue paper down with my image, put that paper, the plaster over the top of the image, and then I used like my little mini iron, and it leaves no bubbles, no nothing for your image. So it comes out really nice and smooth when you use your little iron. And then what I did is I went over the top of it with the Waverly chalk, not chalk paint, the antique wax paint. Then I went along the edges just to give it even more rustic look, and I did it with my little spongy tool there, and I went along the edges and with the vintage photo distress oxide. Then I took one of these stencils that I had in my stash that I got from Chalkboard and my chalk paste in Cobalt, I believe it's called, Cobalt. And I just went with my little squeegee and I put Freedom on there. Then I stuck my little hanger back in that was from the Dollar Tree that was already on there. And then I took some of this boxwood that I got from Walmart and some jute twine, and I'm making like a swag, I guess you could call it. And I'm just glued them together with the jute twine on each side, and then I made another rag bow, put that in the center, glued that down, and then another button I used that I had, and this one was a red button. I get these buttons from Dollar Tree. They always have them, you know, in a little plastic container, and those are the buttons I use. And there is my cute little Highland cow for Patriotic 4th of July. So this is another image that I got off of there. I love this one too. And I'm going to use that wood round. This wood round is not from the Dollar Tree. This one is actually from Hobby Lobby. And then some more, I'm going to make another rag bow, as you can see there. And I'm going to go in with my chalk paint again, the plaster by Waverly. And this one I actually think I used white and not plaster. And then I went over the top of it with that. And then I took my ruler and I wanted to make some shiplap marks. So what I did is I went in with my chalk. It's like a charcoal pencil, but you could use a regular pencil if you don't have these. And then I went in and rubbed my finger along those lines that I made. And I'm just making it look like it's shiplap. And then once I did that, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of the barn red color and this is like a fan brush. And I'm going to go around the edges and I'm just lightly doing like a little fan, little distressed, I guess, along the edges. And I'm kind of like fanning it outward on the edges of the round. And I'm using the barn red. And then once I go around with the barn red color, these are acrylic paints. And then I'm going to go in with the navy blue acrylic paint. And I dry it first, of course. And then I'm going to go back in with the same fan brush and do it with the navy blue. So yeah, I love this look, this technique. It's so pretty. And I thought it would be really fun to do it on a Patriotic because it kind of looks like fireworks maybe on the edges. I don't know. That's what I thought, but I could be wrong. So yeah, that's what I was going for. So I kind of went along the edges like that with the little fan brush, and I think it turned out super cute. I like it. But you guys got to let me know what you think down below because I love to hear what you guys think. I take criticism very well. So then what I did is I took some Mod Podge and I'm going to do the same thing that I did with the other one that I did. I printed this on tissue paper again, and I taped it to regular paper, put it through my machine, but then I'm going to dry the Mod Podge, and then I'm going to put that down on top, my image, and then I'm going to put the parchment paper on top of that, use my iron, and I'm going to press that down. Now this mini iron I got on Amazon, so if you want to know where I got it, it'll be in my Amazon shop, and that also will be in my description box below. So everything's in my description box that I'm using. And then I just take that off, and then I'm going to do these little wooden stars that I had in my stash for a long time now. But I think I got them from Hobby Lobby, and some might have been from the Dollar Tree. And then, of course, I'm going to glue down. I made another little rag bow. This one I used ribbon and also strips of fabric. And then I'm going to do a button again in the center of that one. This time I did a navy blue one. And then I'm just going to glue down those little stars that I also painted. And that's it. You could put a hanger on this. You could put this on a shelf. I think it's absolutely adorable. I love the images on this website, so you definitely need to check them out. So that's it, you guys. So I hope you like it. Let me know what you guys think. And don't forget to subscribe. And as always, stay crafty. Bye.